every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time here at Facebook Radio, Fishbowl. I'm saying Facebook. I'm looking at my Facebook page at Fishbowl Radio Network. And hey, we are in March already. It is March. It's not March?
No.
Trevor is shaking his head. My production guy is shaking his head like, no, it's not March. It's not March. Yes, it is. And you know what? This month is the start of my 5th year with All About STEM Radio, and I am utterly and so blessed to be here. And I have mentioned for the last few weeks, elementary IO. If you're looking to get your kids into coding and they like writing their own stories, I love this because I worked with it with my kids. If you decide to do it, send her a message. Tell her you heard about this on All About STEM Radio. And I'm going to be doing some little science breakout rooms, or what do you call them? Escape rooms. And, and I'll be sharing those with y'all on my social media. And if you're looking for STEM books for your kids, don't forget, I have Taylor STEM Adventures Texas, Taylor STEM Adventures Hawaii, and there are a number of STEM books for your kids that you can get. I'll be sharing some of those with you this month also, especially STEM books done by women, because this is National Women's Month and we have so many excellent women in STEM, to include my guest today. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about her. I'm living in Hawaii. I get a message from my old principal who was in Dubai but now lives in Ohio. She goes, "You need to contact this lady." And I don't know where she saw it, but I'm like, okay, and the young lady's here in the Metroplex. And I'm like, okay, I'll contact her. And we had the best conversation, and she is a STEM educator. She has been one for several years. She, let's see, I got to go through her stuff because she's awesome. She runs an organization she founded an excellent organization called I'm having a moment today, Gems Camp. And if you look at her social media, if you look at her website, what she is doing with these young ladies is phenomenal. And she's a Texas young lady. Hey. So I'm excited about interviewing her. And she has been to some of my neck of the woods, and that may be how we got connected, is because she had been to Dubai with her young ladies. And getting kids out and letting them see the world is extremely, extremely important. And, you can do it via actually going there, but not right now. Or by, reading, or, in a variety of other ways. But I have got to introduce Miss Saki. She is founder and executive director of Gems Camp right here in the Metroplex. So, Saki, will you please introduce yourself to our guest and tell them a little bit about you?
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, Dr. Mary Payton. And welcome back to Texas. Welcome home. I can't imagine leaving Hawaii and coming back here, especially with that snowstorm.
Oh, this is home.
Winter storm.
This is home. I'm happy to be here. I do miss Hawaii, but
yeah,
I communicate with people every day. Lisa and I was going back and forth today. She's in Mexico. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you're in Hawaii, but you're going to go to the beach in Mexico? She goes, yeah, why not? I'm like, okay. Okay.
Well, so good to be here. I mean, a little bit about myself. I am the founder and executive director of the Gems Camp, which is a nonprofit based in Dallas, Texas, which stands for the Girls Interested in Engineering, Mathematics, and Science. I started this organization in 2010 as a classroom teacher, being inspired by my students' personal projects, and I said I want to start my own. And so I started a math camp, just learning from the experiences and observations of, girls in my classroom and watching those observations and those interactions. And I wanted to create something special for the summer, and it just evolved year after year. So we've had 9 camps. We had our first e-camp last summer, obviously due to COVID-19. This summer we'll have our second e-camp, which I'm it's growing on me. I do miss being in person. We also have our STEM Pathways Institute, which is a career mapping type of program designed for sophomores to kind of bridge between middle school and high school. And then our last program is the Global STEM Travel, which you mentioned earlier. That gives girls the opportunity to obviously see the world, but through the lens of STEM, and to see what types of careers that are out there globally, but also to look at a particular region and seeing what that STEM focus is for that region of the world.
Okay, all right. Well, hey. I have a whole bunch of questions. And this is a conversation, y'all. Y'all know I don't give them 15 questions, say, I need you to answer these 15 questions. Everything I do is a conversation. So give me a little more on the history and the inspiration of GEMS Camp.
The GEMS Camp. Well, like I said, it was 2010, and I was teaching at an IB school in Westlake, Texas, and the sophomores, if you know anything about International Baccalaureate, the sophomores, they have to complete this year-long personal project. And that exhibition, I was just blown away with the things that students created. And so out of that inspiration, I said, I should do something, for myself. And literally was at a workshop in Chicago in a hotel room, and this whole idea, what about a cool math camp for girls? And it could be all things girls. We could be safe, in our spaces, free to be who you are without that, pressure of the boys and trying to perform or be liked or accepted. And that's really where the GEMS Camp came from. Additionally, I wanted to create something where girls like myself, growing up, I attended, magnet schools across town, across schools, and then I attended schools in my own neighborhood, and I saw these disparities. And then when I became a teacher, I saw those disparities, teaching in affluent areas versus, low-income schools and underfunded schools. And so I wanted something special for those kids. And so I say the GEMS Camp, I like to think of it as Disneyland. So whatever school is, the GEMS Camp is not. I want every teacher who teaches there and staff member to feel free to be creative and to engage girls and work with students. And literally that's what it is at the core. It's just a fun way to learn and to grow in your confidence as a young woman or young lady, but then also to deepen that knowledge in math and science and the skills that we tackle every summer.
Okay. And, I 100% get what you're saying, because I taught in Fort Worth. And I was lucky enough to teach at 2 schools that, even though there were inner city, urban schools, whatever we're calling them these days. I had principals that I teased about my last principal at the last school I taught at in Fort Worth. I say he was in the mafia, because this man always had plenty of money for all of his departments. And he had a lot of backers and everything.
Wow.
So we were extremely lucky to be able to get some of the things that other schools may not have gotten. But I grew up and I went to Tech, which was a technical school. So when you graduated there, you had a skill and a certification in a plethora of things. But all schools aren't like that. They're not all like that.
Very true.
Now, you have some amazing people that support and work with you. And I know that when you first started, you started with just some college students and a couple of instructors. Can you give us a little evolution on that?
Yeah, when I started the camp, I was teaching. I didn't have a lot of disposable income,
Yeah.
And I took some money that I had saved up and went to the public library in Oak Cliff and said, I'd like to start a program here this summer. And they said, well, you can have this space. We won't charge you for it.
Ooh.
And so I took that $1,000 and printed up a bunch of flyers and a poster, and I set it up, and, you know, people came, and I just reached out to my teacher friend base, and asked, who wants to teach with me this summer? What are we going to be doing? I don't know yet, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be all things girls. And literally, it just evolved. It started out with college students and me teaching and another friend of mine teaching.
Yeah.
And then, you know, every summer it just got more and more refined. Now my recruiting looks very much like going hard at the universities, looking for those university student scholars, those STEM scholars, so the engineering majors, computer science majors, biology majors, to serve as those mentors for the middle school girls. And then obviously recruiting a staff. So every summer I have about maybe 25 volunteers who come on board to help support the initiative, and of course some paid instructors as well. And you know, we've grown little by little. Sometimes I beat myself up because I'm like, it's 10 years and we're still this small. But, you know, I look back and I'm like, well, you worked the whole time. You know, you never stopped teaching.
Yeah.
And that's how I spent every single summer, was doing the GEMS camp. And now I'm no longer in the classroom. So, you know, the GEMS camp is what I do. And I'll tell you, I just have so many ideas, and I'm so excited about where we're headed when you think about the the e-camps and the opportunities to reach more students through that, through the, you know, digitally.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I mean, this has got to be amazing. Now, when you started the STEM camps and then through the transition of what's going on now, what were some of the challenges, or what are some of the challenges?
They could range from anything to, you know, reaching the right students,
Yeah.
you know, that you want to recruit. The reason I called the program Girls Interested in Engineering, Mathematics, and Science was because I didn't want this group of kids who kind of always get the opportunities. Do you know what I mean? And we've been teachers, so we know who those kids are, right? They're going to be at everything. They're going to get every opportunity. I didn't want to exclude them, but I wanted to make sure that I made space for the other girls who, I don't know what I want to do yet. I don't even know if I'm good at math. I don't even know if, and I shouldn't say that, just maybe they don't have that positive narrative yet.
Yes.
I wanted them, because I knew if they could come in and have this experience that is uplifting, that is encouraging, that teaches you failure to fail forward, to struggle through that mathematical learning and that problem solving. I wanted girls who wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it interested, girls interested in these fields. So that's always a challenge, is finding the right students. I'm not looking for all the rock stars, right?
Oh, yeah.
So help, you know, getting into the schools and identifying the girls with the potential. Another challenge, and I think every nonprofit faces this, is, you know, how do we keep the parents engaged?
Yes.
How can we educate parents about STEM more effectively, and not so much of, oh, do this activity at home with your kid, right? But actually, how do you talk scientifically? How do you talk mathematically? How do you encourage a student or your child to explain why they believe what they believe, or why they think what they think, or why they did what they thought did? That's always a challenge. Is trying to educate the parents.
Yeah.
I'd say the third challenge that I face is, obviously, when you're a small nonprofit and you didn't come in with, you know, all these angel investors or whatever. I mean, funding is always a challenge, right? Just to even be on the radar of a foundation, and when you're so small, it is a great barrier. And I over the years, I've seen that foundations are being more and more open to smaller nonprofits. But in the early days, I mean, they wouldn't give you the time of day.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it for me. That the three biggest challenges that I face. I mean, I'm sure there are other, but, you know, who doesn't face challenges?
And we're going to talk about the big challenge in just a little bit, the pandemic that we're facing, and how did you work yourself around that. But you're organization has 5 carrot gyms or
Yep.
5 core areas that you focus on.
Yep.
Can you hit on those for me just a little bit?
Okay, so when I designed the GEMS camp,
Yes.
I didn't want it to be just, we're going to get together and we're going to tinker. Like, nothing is wrong with that, but I didn't want that to be what I wanted. I wanted it to be something where you're actually developed as a person.
Yes, yes.
Where you actually invested in. And so I said, okay, well, what if I played on this whole bling or ring or, jewel or something like that? It's a gem. And I was thinking like, carrots and things. And I kind of just came up with this 5K. And so the carrots are academics, career, creativity, leadership, and service. Mm-hmm. So we take this holistic approach to developing the whole child, to looking at them as they transition and move through this pipeline.
Yes.
It's not always about your intellect and your intelligence. It's a lot of it is your leadership, the way you carry yourself, the character that you bring to the table. So with academics, we focus obviously on math and science skill development,
Yes.
right? We target specific standards every summer based on data from obviously the state testing data, and we preview the upcoming school year's content. So, for example, if you're going into Algebra 1, well, I've taught Algebra 1 for 7-something years, I already know those standards that will be challenging for students. So we'll pick, linear systems of linear equations. We'll pick certain topics to be able to expose the girls to during the summer. They don't go deep, but it's exposure.
Yeah.
So when they see it in the school year, they're like, oh, yeah, I've seen this. I did that, and they feel a little bit more confident. So academics is really what we focus on in that carrot with our math and our science. With career, we invite women from over the Metroplex in to speak to the girls about their pathways in STEM. How did you become an engineer? We have women from BNSF, Railroad, Microsoft, whatever. It could be whatever. It's just exposing them to these career opportunities and allowing them to engage with career women. Girls also, they write a resume. We teach them how to build their portfolios and things like that. So with career, we do a lot of work in that sense. Creativity is the hands-on time. So that's the actual project-based learning, the PBL, that we all familiar with as in math and science educators. That's where they actually get to tinker, to build, to deconstruct, to test with that time. And so they spend about 75 minutes doing that. And then the fourth carrot is leadership, which is probably my favorite, because this is when the university and the high school mentors, they basically break into these small groups with the girls that they mentor, so 5 to 10 kids.
Yeah. And
we have a curriculum, and we talk about self-esteem, self-identity. We talk about how to resolve conflict when working in a group, right? How to approach your teacher if you don't agree with a grade, proper ways to address authority. So we teach valuable leadership skills that will transfer with them throughout the pipeline.
And I like that, the statement you just made about how to talk to your teacher. Because when I was teaching, working at Jack State in Alabama some years ago, I had a student who had failed biology from every biology teacher. And I worked with her, and she was like on the cusp of getting a D this time. And I told her, I said, go talk to your instructor and tell him you're not going to be a scientist.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a biologist. You just need a D to get through this course so you can move on. And she goes, well, I'm afraid to talk to him. And I'm like, you can't be afraid. You have to. We sat down and ironed out the kind of things that she wanted to make sure she hit up on. And she ended up with a D, and she was the happiest child in the world. But you're right. Being able to communicate is huge, because a lot of these girls are like, well, I don't want to say anything.
Right. And so we teach them the proper way to do that, and we give them tools. We give them scripts, emails that you can use, that will help do things the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that's valuable to learn as you lay rigor as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then our fifth carrot is service. Service is every summer the girls have to generate a service project, and it has to be tied to the theme for that month or for the camp. So, for example, they've done a food desert with Bonton Farms in South Dallas. So they brainstorm ways to get more people into the the grocery and all of that, and they pitched it, to the leadership team there. But they had to use that design cycle, that process, right, where you brainstorm and then you prototype and all that. So they have to apply that. And then they've done things like we did a technology day at a nursing home. Assisted living home, and helped residents. So service learning is just teaching them how to give back, right? So say you're some fancy software engineer one day and you're making six figures. Do you give back to the community? Do you know how to use your skills to give back to the community? So that's a very critical part of what we're doing, because I don't want to just produce a bunch of brainiac engineers, computer scientists one day. I want to produce empathetic women who care about development, who care about their innovations, and who care about people at the end of the day, because that's really what matters. So that's why I have this 5 carrot framework to not only emphasize the academics and the skills, but to make you a well-rounded and a true humanitarian.
Oh, I love that. I mean, you I always talk about you young people just make me so proud. And folks get tired of me saying that. I don't care.
Yeah.
Hey, it's my show.
Yeah.
And I can be as proud of things as I want to be. Now, I want to go back to what I asked you earlier about the challenges. This year you had a major challenge, which meant you could not get together with these young ladies.
Right.
Or your staff, or your instructors, or your directors, or your whatever. What did you do?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. I think I took the first 2 months and literally just laid in the bed. I was paralyzed. I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm not in the classroom, so I don't know what it's like teaching online right now. I wasn't having that experience that my other teacher friends were having. And I called a couple of girls that, have been with me for a few years and just kind of picked their brains. Well, what do you like about school right now with this learning, virtual learning, and what don't you like? And from their feedback, I said, okay, we're going to do an e-camp, but it's not going to look like school. We're not going to do asynchronous learning. We're going to do synchronous learning for 6 hours a day. And it's going to work, because we're going to send some cool boxes, some big boxes. We're going to decorate them, and they're going to be beautiful, and we'll put a big bow on them. And my friend, she was like, oh, I'll make them. And I mean, just blew it out of the park with the design. I said, everything they need for that 2 weeks is going to be in that box. So all the activities for math, all the activities for science, everything they needed for leadership, whatever, was going to be in that box. I said, okay, we need some activity. The kids aren't exercising. They were just sitting around eating their parents' snacks, logging in, wasn't even really getting dressed to get out of bed. I said, we need them to have some activity every single day. So I said, well, I got friends who are yoga instructors, Pilates instructors, painters. They're going to lead some activity. So every single day, there was always something to kind of break up that sitting and get their bodies moving, have fun. We did African dance. We had an African dance instructor. So, they had such a good time. But it was a challenge. You have to find, we switched to Microsoft Teams from Google.
Okay.
I knew nothing about Microsoft Teams, so, I had to really get myself trained in that, get the staff trained. We had to create online course onboarding for all of those volunteers, so there wasn't this face-to-face onboarding experience.
Yes.
We had to create a orientation online for the parents and for the students. To kind of welcome them in, and we, taught all of our chants, we taught all of our traditions, put a ring on it, our gem of the day. We had to induct them into this e-camp that kind of modeled what we do traditionally, but not really.
Yes.
So it was a huge challenge, but when I think of when you're working with women, young women, college students, and we're all about girls, we're so powerful, we're unstoppable. Unstoppable with what we can conceive and create when we really truly want to help lift each other up.
Yes.
And that was my greatest learning out of this past summer, was what happens when women, older, more mature women, right, like myself, partners with a college student.
Oh, yeah.
Partners with a high school student.
Yep.
And we all come together and say, we want these 52 girls to have an amazing time, and it's up to us. It's still the relationships at the end of the day. It's the relationships. So pulling that right group of people together and staying on the same page was life-changing. It was life-changing. One of the greatest things that I remember out of the e-camp, which we focused on COVID. We decided
Yes.
to focus our learning around COVID because it was so relevant, right?
Yes.
And there were so many rumors out there at the time. Oh, black people can't get it. Or I heard you can't get it at this. Or, just all of that misinformation around the time. Washing your hands doesn't really work. So we wanted to dispel all of that through science. And so we took that lens, and I hired some amazing curriculum writers, teachers, and we developed a curriculum around that learning, appropriate
Yes.
for every grade level. And, they had a guiding question and everything. And at the end of that 2 weeks, they were able to articulate facts versus myth. And why black and brown communities were impacted more. And,
Yes.
and that didn't just happen magically. That took a lot of people working and being very intentional about, what we did this last summer. So, yeah, that was E-Camp, and I'm going into my second one.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. And I know I should have had a little break a little bit earlier, but the conversation was so good you can't stop. Hey, I come to you here every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time here at Fishbowl Radio Network at Globe Life Park. And yes, I'm back in Arlington and enjoying myself. But I have a wonderful guest today, Miss Saki. She is the founder and executive director of The Gems Camp here in Dallas. And it's a camp that caters to young ladies. And we just got through talking about her pillars of success, which are her 5 carats, not pillars, but 5 carats, her gems. And we always want to put a ring on, but we do like 5 carats. But anyway, and also the challenge of what COVID has taught her to do with doing e-camps. Now, Saki,
Yeah.
you made a statement a second ago. You, a college student, high school student, do you know how much, well, I guess you do know because you did it, how much knowledge people brought to the table? Because you mentioned the Microsoft, you said Microsoft Teams.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned Microsoft Teams, and you didn't know anything about that.
Didn't know anything.
So, all of this knowledge, generational knowledge that you had to pull together
Yeah.
to do this camp. What were some of the things that you sent out to, some of the activities other than the yoga and stuff like that, which, oh my God, is so needed.
Yeah.
Because I homeschool with my 2 nieces every day, and their teachers make them go outside or go into a place and do stretching exercises and stuff like that, and I love it. But what were some of the things that you put in your boxes?
Yeah. So our boxes, I brought one today.
I love
This
that.
is a smaller one. So this is our Hidden Gems program that's that we're going to be launching this week, actually.
Okay.
But our actual bling boxes for the summer are about this big. They're those legal boxes.
Yeah.
And we literally included. So if you have 10 days of programming, then you need math and science materials every day. You need your creativity, your project-based learning for the day. So you need 10 of those. You need If you're doing yoga, you need the yoga mat. If you're doing HIIT, right, interval training, you need your bands.
Yes, yes.
If you're doing painting, you got to have the canvas and all the paint.
Yes.
We had counseling as well this summer. So we had certified counselors where girls did small group counseling. And the counseling had a curriculum. So we had hope rocks, we had cards. So we literally anything they needed to participate, they had in that box. And my whole thing was I wanted eCamp to be very much like the residential when we're at a university.
Oh, that's right. You were going to university.
We were going to university. So think about it. You know, when you're in person, you got all your stuff with you, right? You got your teaching materials. You can go to your stash. It wasn't like that. I said, well, I don't want kids just logging in, sitting there. I want them to look. Oh, I can't wait to get in my box today, right? And so we would make it like, don't open this until tomorrow morning. So it's that sense of excitement. Like I want to log in. I want to get up and tune in. And that's really what I took away from that was we have to make learning fun.
Yes.
And we have to make it intriguing. And it's not just about the content. It's about us as well, right? It's people. People connect with people.
Yes.
Children connect with their teachers. They connect with their mentors. So it was very important to train everyone with that mentality to say, this is Disneyland, okay? No matter how crazy the technology is and it glitches and I can't log on, I can't get my white mic to work and all of that, it's going to be Disneyland at the end of every single day. We even had our rings. A part of our program is every day you can get a ring put on you.
Okay.
And this is something that the mentors do. They observe the girls all day, and they make recommendations on who should get a ring at the end of the day. And then we call you up, and we clap, and you put your ring on it, and it's just fun. It's silly, but it's fun. We also do Gem of the Day, where you can get crowned the Gem of the Day with a little tiara. And again, it's all peer recommended. Yes. And you don't just get it for the sake of getting it, but you get actual feedback. So in front of everyone, we say, I gave you this because yesterday I noticed when you were working in your group, you showed initiative. Like, it's very specific feedback. And so girls wanted to keep doing things so that they can get those rewards. So with eCamp, I was like, we cannot lose all of that. So every box had a tiara and a ring in it. But you were not allowed to open it unless you were nominated by your mentor. And so at the beginning of every morning, we'd all kind of do our big pep rally virtually, right? And we would show the slide with who are the gems of the day, and then they could go in their box and get it out and put it on. So it was a really big deal. It was a way to keep them connected. And so all day they would be in the Microsoft team, meetups, and you just see them with their little tiaras on or their ring on. And, it was a way to keep that tradition alive.
Oh my goodness.
It was a summer. Our eCamp is, look, I'm not trying to brag, but it was on a whole nother level.
Hopefully I'll see it this summer.
Yes, I hope so.
I'm starting to get invited to several different things from other organizations, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm supposed to be retired, and I don't think this is going to work real well.
You don't think this is going to work well?
It's the third time I've done this. And the first two times didn't work at all.
Just can't stay still, huh?
No. Oh, let me tell you, there are bets being made. There are bets
when you're going to return.
When am I going to return? What country am I going to next? What am I going to do? I'm like, I'm done.
But that's an exciting lifestyle, it seems like, anyway.
It is. I'm such a nomad.
Yeah.
But if someone was interested or had a young lady that was interested in the GEMS camp, how do they follow you? Where do they find you?
Yeah.
What's your website handle? Don't give out your phone number because I don't want no weirdos calling you, because I've had people do that and they're like, I'm like, don't give out your phone number.
Yeah. Well, our website is www.thegemscamp.org. So THE, gemscamp.org. We're on Instagram, Facebook. All of our handles are the same, The Gems Camp.
Okay.
So they're very welcome to interact with us. Our application will open this week. I believe it's March 5th. Our application will open for summer 2021 enrollment. And a lot of it is, I do in-school recruitment. So
Yes.
I have relationships within the schools, the counselors, the department heads and such. And they really help to identify, the kids and all of that good stuff. So every girl can apply. There's an online application. You have to have a letter of recommendation from a math or science teacher. Mm-hmm. You write 2 short, very short answer responses. And then we interview every student.
Oh, wonderful.
We interview every student because we want them to feel like this is official. This isn't some fly-by-night camp you're going to do. You're going to take this seriously because we want you to stay with us over 5 years. We want you to be a STEM leader. So we're going to develop you. So, and the girls are so cute. They dress up for their interviews and they don't have to do that, but they're really, nervous and everything. It's like, you don't have to be like that, but it is fun to get them to go through that process as a middle schooler, to actually have to interview with someone. So everyone completes that process and then we do our notifications.
That's amazing. And that is so important. You said they stay with you for 5 years. So what is the age range or class range that you're looking at that you're working with? I'm sorry.
So we target for the middle school program, which is the summer camp or the summer e-camp, we look for rising 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So girls coming out of 6th grade. On occasion, we will take some 5th graders rising into 6th graders if they demonstrate through that interview that they are mature enough to, number one, go to a sleepaway camp, right, or get up and log in every day for 6 hours at this point. So we target this rising 7th, 8th, and 9th grade group for the e-camp and the residential camp. For grade 10, which is our Career Pathways Institute, the STEM Institute, we really want to focus on bridging middle school because they're kind of too old to be with this camp with 6th, 7th graders. It's not cool anymore. But they're not really mature enough to be a mentor either. So they kind of need this gap year where they get some development. So that's what that year is all about. And then our high school girls are now girls who went through the program. And now they get to come back as a mentor, just like they had a mentor. So that is so powerful to have gone through 3 years of the GEMS camp, and then now I get to come back and mentor a 7th grader, and I was just a 7th grader 3 or 4 years ago. and it's so cute. And then we also, we do a lot of recruitment out of the universities and local high schools too.
Oh, because that has got to be some amazing experience that they come to you, with you, to share. Because you know what I'm totally starting to notice about that generation that are in college or their last year of high school. A lot of those kids are service oriented, wanting to work, with organizations, and they're looking for organizations that look like them, that support women, that support minorities, that support women in science. Because we're out there, we've been there. I've been in STEM for many
You've been at this longer than me, girl.
I don't even think you were born yet. But we don't get no. Trevor is holding up 10 fingers, messing with me.
Oh, okay. We have 10 minutes.
I know. I just love harassing Trevor because he's new, y'all. Because y'all know I've had all the old hands. Now I've got a new one, so I have to spoil him and be mean to him.
Yeah.
But he's great. He's a great producer. But these young ladies are learning to present themselves and hold their own in STEM fields and in STEM careers. And let me ask you a question based on something I just thought about, based on what I'm thinking. We talked about leadership. When you look at these young ladies and when you work with these young ladies, do you work with them and think about the fact that they're going to go into a STEM career field and what that's going to look like for job negotiation or what they're going to have to look like when they go into a university classroom for the first time taking, bioengineering or structural mechanics. And they're still one of only maybe 3 girls and 60 guys.
Yeah.
So
I think about that all the time, and I want to say that I want to put this out there because the GEMS camp, our end goal isn't necessarily I want all of my girls to go into STEM.
Oh yeah.
And that's why we have that interested clause, right?
Yes.
Because I mean ultimately that's what I want for them, but if they do go that pathway, I want them to be able to withstand everything that comes with that isolation, right?
Yeah.
That feeling like I'm the only one. First of all, if you're black or brown, it's going to be few of you. And then when you're female, it's going to be few, so knowing all of that, but giving them the skill set to be able to still thrive in those situations is so important to me. And that's why I took this holistic approach to STEM versus just some activity-based learning, which is all good, but I'm like, no, you got to be able to hang in there. What does that look like when you're only one walks in the room? How do you show up, and how do you still be successful? But I do want to have time to talk about that.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
I didn't know. I was thinking about Trevor and his, his hands there.
Trevor, we love you, Trevor. But anyway, go.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm being bossy.
I was wondering why you put it down.
Yeah. So this is our new development, and I'm so proud of this work because this was actually birthed out of last summer's
beautiful.
eCamp. I told you about the boxes for eCamp.
Yeah.
And, that program had such success, and people were, friends were like, you need to do that. You need to do this. You need to make it into a monthly subscription type of something during the school year. So I went to the drawing board, and I said, we need a smaller box that can be mailed and won't cost a lot of money. And I want it to be something fun and cool, and I want all the activities to be in there every month. I want a really cool, colorful, interactive workbook. But I didn't want it to be, with me, I'm always like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I wanted a subscription box that had that community that came with it.
Yes.
Just like the GEMS camp. So all those girls are friends, and they look forward to seeing each other every year. So I wanted a subscription service to where you can do this at home, you're independent learning, but once a month you're going to come together in community with all these girls who got the same box you did, and you're going to log in with your cohort and you're going to share your learning. You're going to share what you did. You're going to talk about what that process was like for you. Again, trying to tie in that leadership development and being able to have science discourse and mathematical discourse and develop your presentation skills and logging into a virtual community. So that's what this box is all about. And every month we'll have a theme. I love the inside. I designed the inside myself. Math teacher, I am a huge fan of vocabulary and literacy.
Oh my goodness.
So I put all these beautiful math words and science words, and to me it just draws you in, and you just want to know what those words are.
Yes.
So from the design of the packaging to the actual themes.
Yes.
Again, we're trying to make science, math, technology, engineering relevant.
Yes.
So our first box is in March and goes out this week, and it's called Power to the People. And it's this provocative, every month we'll have a provocative theme, but Power to the People is going to be about the energy crisis.
I want a box.
You're going to have one.
Okay.
This is for you. Well, we're going to look at energy, renewable energy, environmental, like what did we just experience in Texas, right? How did that even happen? How, what is the usage rate? Look at that from a mathematical perspective, but then also renewable energy, turbine, wind and all of that. And then their project is going to be, they're going to create a windmill. So that's going to be their hands-on task, but then we're going to have all this math and science wrapped around it. And then when they come together that third Saturday of March, or that third Saturday of every month, everybody's going to have the opportunity to share what they did in these small little breakout communities.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So the hidden gems coming soon. Share, like.
Okay, turn the box around so I can get in the camera. Let's make sure we can
Is it
see
this way?
I don't know. We have to ask Trevor.
That looks good.
That looks good, Trevor. Beautiful. It's called a bling box.
The bling box.
It's a bling box, girl. We got some shine in there. We're going to put some swag in there for the girls. We want them to feel proud and excited that they're geeks and they're nerds and they're curious. Like, don't shy away from that. You know, own that and be successful. Be successful with that. So,
And
yeah.
I love all the sides of the box. You've got something everywhere. It's not
Everywhere.
It's not
that.
just on the top and, whatever.
We got the
And
microscope, the atom, you know.
The hidden gems.
Gems. So
I
this
love
this
it.
really came out of Hidden Figures, too.
Oh.
You know, that's how I thought of it.
Yes.
I said, you know what? We got all these girls in these classrooms across the U.S. and they're just kind of hidden. We want them to be. We want to get these hidden gems exposed.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what we call it, hidden gems.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
But yeah.
Now, we've got about 3-4 minutes left.
Yeah.
But is there anyone out there that you want to thank?
Too many people, but yeah.
Or you can do it in a whole conglomeration. Say my this, my that,
Yeah,
whatever. They know who they are.
Obviously, mom and sisters always supporting. My friends who every summer build the boxes. You got their cricket machines. Teacher friends who've written lessons. Paying them. All I could afford was $15. Yvette. Alba every summer. These girls started me when they were in high school volunteering, and now they help run the logistics every single summer. So I certainly have to thank them. I think the families who come back every single year, we have a 90% retention rate.
Oh my God, that's a blessing.
And it's such a blessing. And so I like to thank them, for their commitment. And obviously our board and all of our funders, High Tech High Heels, Texas Instruments, Walmart, so many, I can't really name them all, private individuals who give so that we can keep this important programming going for girls.
Oh, I mean, this is amazing, and I'm so excited, and I'm happy to have you on the show. And
That was fast.
I know. I'm happy to be a part. Allowing me to be a part of this by having you here, and I want a box.
Yes,
I want a box.
Absolutely.
I want a box with
and people
stuff.
can sponsor. Yeah, we're going to get you one, and people can sponsor boxes for kids who can't
Okay.
afford boxes.
Okay.
So we're trying to do some innovative things to get more science into the homes right now during the pandemic.
And you know what? This is something that's going to go beyond the pandemic. This isn't something that,
hope so.
okay, we got to do it for the pandemic.
Yeah.
When the pandemic's over, we're going to stop. I don't think you're going to stop.
All right.
I don't think you're going to stop. I think this is going to keep moving and moving and moving. And once again, your social media handles are what, if people wanted to find you?
The Gems Camp. So TheGemsCamp. That's all of our social media handles: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. What's the other ones?
Your website?
Our website is www.thegemscamp.org. And we're getting a facelift this week, so that's going to be another big announcement. I'm so excited about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But hey, I'm excited, and I want to thank you for coming on. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody missed this show, you can check out you can tell them to check out the podcast on fbrn.us, all about STEM radio. I will get this up on my YouTube channel in the next week or so, because I have a child who has to have it rendered just perfectly. And my guest next week is Kayla Miller. She is the founder of of STEM Kings and Queens out of New York. So, hey, join us again, Dr. Mary Payton, with All About STEM Radio. I come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time here on Fishbowl Radio Network. Thank you, and bye-bye.